Good morning everyone, welcome back to another live video. I have so much to share this morning. I've had a tickle in my throat for the last couple of days, actually for ages, just like little tickles. And it was only yesterday that I kind of worked out that, that means I want to share something, that means I want to speak. So I am coming on to record some videos and we'll see what wants to come through. It's boiling hot here. I'm on the east coast of Australia and it is still right in the heat, the thick of summer. It's beautiful and I love it, and feeling very, very grateful. I'm floating this morning. It feels good. I've come out of a season of a lot of spiritual warfare, of feeling being very kind of bogged down, weighed down, attacked, feeling very confused, feeling very, in that victim state of like, I just, can't see a way out. I don't know what I'm doing. Like life has abandoned me. What's going on? And finding my way home and accessing this place of truth within me again. And I'm feeling just the ramifications of that and this beautiful sense of love and the beingness of all that is just flowing through me. And it's really, it's such a relief, and it's also feels like a massive accomplishment because I know that I fought my way back here. I really had to kind of do some real energetic, metaphysical kung fu and dance fighting to get myself back into this place, because I believe that, wholeness and oneness and truth is available to us in every moment. And I also believe that there are challenges that each of us have to face in order to strengthen our abilities, strengthen our sight. One of the things that I've learned from this experience is that there is so much, that quote in, I think it's Macbeth, but it's Shakespeare says, there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. I feel like the more that I delve into myself and just the longer that I live, the more that I realize there is so much more to this existence than we have been led to believe, and that most people kind of understand there to be. There are entities and there is a whole nother dimension of existence that's happening all around us all the time. And, if you haven't kind of had an interaction or an experience, an encounter with it, especially one that really smacks you in the head and really wakes you up to the power of this stuff, then it's really difficult to believe in it. It's really difficult to kind of fathom this idea that there are, there's a whole other play, world, realm. There's a whole other film, I guess, kind of being made and going on. There's a whole other storyline unfolding, like a saga that's playing out in the ethers in a realm that we can't see and perceive with our physical senses. And perception is a really great word here, because when we talk about dealing with this stuff, we're actually, I said to myself last night, the quality of my life is determined by, or is directly proportionate to, the quality of my perception. And I mean that in the sense of my ability to perceive what is beyond the physical, beyond what I can see, beyond what I can taste and hear and see and smell, and touch, but also like my ability to perceive in the sense of like how I view things. So my perception, my perspective, and it's both, right? It's, I'm working on my ability to perceive what is beyond the physical senses, and it's changing the way that I relate to everything. I have been relating to, especially in the last couple of days, I've been relating to everything and everyone on the level of the soul rather than the body and the mind. And what this means is that I'm coming into encounters and experiences as like a soul, and defining and identifying with my soul rather than my body, my physical body and my ego personality. And then also like relating to others as though that's who they really are, which is the truth. That's who they really are. And I noticed this morning it was kind of glitching in and out. I was sitting at one of my local cafes, and this is a place that's kind of very like popular, and a lot of people go there to like, I guess it's kind of trendy. Like it's very trendy. It's very like on brand, on fleek, whatever. But I was sitting there this morning, and I've always felt this sense of like intimidation, which is so weird. And, if I told anyone this who's seen it there, they probably wouldn't, believe it, because I think I appear quite confident. Sometimes I put it on just because it like helps. But this morning I noticed, I've in the past I felt really insecure, or like, walking into this place, because I'm like, do I belong here? Is this, is this okay? Like I'm not really super like trendy and not into like all of the kind of, on brand, on flick things. It's just not my vibe at all. I think it's, to be honest, I think it's kind of ridiculous, because trends are just, it's not ridiculous because it's an attempt to facilitate a feeling of belonging, and belonging is an essential core human need, and it's something that we all, want to feel. And I know how good it feels to belong to something, but in the grand scheme of things, it is ridiculous, because that's not a real sense of anything. Like that's not a real sense of belonging. It doesn't come from you know, how we dress, or, you know, who we hang out with, or how we look. So, and this ties back into really well what I'm talking about, is that as I start to relate to myself and people on the level of the soul, rather than being like looking in the mirror and being like, oh, this is, you know, my physical body, that must be, it's not, that's not who I am. But understanding that, you know, looking in the mirror and being like, I'm not even looking in the mirror as much anymore. Like I used to kind of, you know, really stare intently, and I've been through a phase and a season of really like loving my body and appreciating her. But even now it's just like when I send love to myself, I'm sending love to my heart, and I'm sending love to my soul, which is like, you know, I think of it as the space around my body. I think of it as the being that encases my body, and also like, yeah, animates and moves through my body. So, you know, it's just so much easier to relate and be in the world in this way, because, you know, when you're identified with your physical form, it's like, you know, a hair out of place, a pterygium on the eye, like tiny little things like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, like everyone's out to get me, and it's just immediate separation. Whereas when you're in this space of soul connection, like there is no separation. So again, I talked about this in my last video, but like coming into our interactions knowing that you're actually already connected to everyone in the space. Like there's no need to create connection because you're already connected. Like you guys are already connected. So the more that I focus on this, and this is the key, is like, you know, I can be thinking about like, you know, the physical and the, you know, the skin suit and all that sort of stuff. Or I can be thinking and focusing on, wow, like I'm an infinite being of pure love and joy and unconditional light. Like, I didn't say that right, but that's okay. But it's like, I am that. And so I focus on that. I keep coming back to that. I'm atoning in the sense that I'm redirecting and allowing my mind to like focus and chew on that. And it takes training. Like I had a whole day where I was going through a bit of a crisis situation, and it really like drew me straight back into the core of myself, because I was like, there is no other way I'm going to get through this. Like I'm either going to collapse into fear and reaction and like whatever, which was just it's just not an option for me anymore. I'm just like, I can see it as like a potential, and I'm like, absolutely not. And so I really was very strict with myself for a whole 24 hours. I was like, no, like I'm an infinite being. When did I say I'm an infinite being of pure light and unconditional love? And just all day, every day, for like the whole 24 hours, I was asleep for 12 of it. But for that whole 12 hours, I just kept bringing myself back. I'm like, no, unconditional love is all there is, all there is, all there is. And it's not like you're talking yourself into it. It's that you're reminding your mind, like you're reminding. And so it's like, because it's, you know, that's the part of us that forgets. And so when you kind of, I guess that's all we ever really need to do, in the sense of like retraining our mind to focus on what is truth. Because the rest of us, like our soul and our, you know, spirit selves, like that's, we get it, like we're already there. And so when I relate to people in this sense, like it's just so much easier, because, you know, I was looking at a little boy this morning, and I was like, you know, rather than my human self or my body identified self would have been like, I love like playing peekaboo with children. I think it's one of the most beautiful, you know, children, and the way that we treat children is literally how we create the future. Like every time that you interact with a child, you are creating the future, because you're helping to sow into how that child perceives the world, and shaping how they grow up to perceive, you know, their physical experience and their, you know, or their experience here. And so you're literally creating the world that you want to see or not see. You know, you're either doing it consciously or unconsciously with the way that you treat children around you. I'm not a parent yet, but I very much consider myself a mother, like a matriarch, in the sense that like I know the mother archetype in the way I have mothered myself. And so we had this game of peekaboo where I was like, you know, and in the past I was like, eek, and laughing, and in the past, because I love doing this, it's beautiful, it's very natural expression for me. In the past, I think I would have been worried about, you know, is his dad like there, like, you know, does he think I'm a weirdo, is this creepy, whatever. But soul to soul, I was just, you know, I was seeing the light and the aura around this child, rather than like this child as like a physical body. And I was like, oh, soul to soul, like this is the most natural thing in the world. And I experienced, you know, this little boy, I mean, I got the feeling he was a bit of a crystal, because he had these like crystal blue eyes, and I see them everywhere now. It's fascinating, it's so cool. These incredible children, and I'm like, oh right. And I got the sense when I was, you know, looking at his soul, and I don't yet, maybe I will. I guess I'm speaking this into existence as I say it, but I am getting clearer on being able to perceive. It's easier for me now to perceive someone's soul rather than just, you know, them as a physical body. And I got the sense that he was like, you know, basically an adult in a child's body, and you know, an adult in the sense that like wise and mature and just already like very grown up, but then obviously still has to go through the experience of having a childhood, you know, to incarnate in this physical existence. So it's like, it's so fascinating to kind of understand that, you know, we're not, even those of us who, you know, have incredible like gifts and skills and wisdom and are here to deliver massive, you know, service and goal for the planet and humanity. Like Jesus was a baby, you know, he had to go through childhood. He had to, you know, go through. And when I say had to, I mean like, well, yeah, childhood can be freaking difficult. Mine was. A lot of it really, really, really was. But there is a sense that, yeah, this child was just like this big, beautiful, mature soul, but having the experience of a child. And it was really cool. It was really cool. So yeah, we played peekaboo, and you know, I was just saying hello, and it was awesome. And just relating to everyone through that lens has just made it so much more joyful for me and easier for me to walk through the world, because I'm someone that has really struggled with, I've really struggled in the past with being my authentic self in the world, because there's a sense of no one else is really like me. And I feel like everyone feels like this, but I felt it quite acutely, this sense of, but when I'm my full self, I'm very different. Like I'm very confident and outgoing, and I see things in a different way. I'm very deep, and you know, having the childhood experience of people kind of looking at me like, what? But I had this revelation yesterday, and this is so cool. I want to remind myself of this. When people are looking at you like you're a bit weird, it means that you've impacted them. It means that you've touched them. It means that they've noticed you. It means that, because weird is just new. Weird isn't, you know, bad or good. It's just different. It's new. And so when someone is looking at you like you're a bit weird, it means that you've delivered and dropped something into their consciousness that they might not experience very often. And in our culture, you know, in a culture where, and I've read this in Women Who Run with Wolves, Clarissa Pinkola Estes, when we're taught to fear or kind of be skeptical or cautious around what is weird, we kill off unintentionally any kind of potential for new and creative things, because new and creative things are weird. New and creative things, when they first, innovation is incredibly weird when you first come across it. Anyone who looked at the light bulb 150 years ago, whenever the light bulb was invented, I just said that, I have no idea if that's correct or not. When the light bulb was invented, people would have been like, the fuck? Like, this is so strange. But when you are, you know, when someone is reflecting that back to you, it's like their perception, it just means that you've altered their perception about something. You're kind of introducing something new into the collective. You're an innovator. And so please don't be, you know, put off by, I've, you know, in the past been very, very scared and put off by and terrified of people looking at me like I'm weird, but it just means that I am introducing something new. And this might be something new in the community. It might be something new in the world, in the business world, in the, you know, sphere, the like whatever, in the art world. You're just introducing something new. It's a beautiful thing, because that's what we need. We're here to bring the new life, new ideas, new suggestions, new solutions, innovation. And you think about like the new, I wrote this beautiful poem the other day, and it says, actually I'm going to leave that a secret because it is in my book and I don't want to spoil it. So if you haven't already, and my book is in the process of being published and it will be out. I'll put a link below, or just go and find my website and you can find it. But yeah, there's a poem right towards the back, and it talks about the newness of the children that we are coming into our family trees, and how we are here to bring, you know, new life into our family trees. Like, we're not just here to, if you think about like a tree in an ecosystem, like if there's an evolution that happens in every single species and, you know, tree, plant, animal on the planet, that adapts and changes. I don't think any kind of species, I don't know, maybe there is, but I don't think any kind of species is the same now as it was like 100 million years ago. Like, everything is adapting and changing and evolving. And it's the same with human beings. Like, we're not supposed to be the same as our parents. We're supposed to, you know, we're a different breed, we're a different species, and we are like, the essence of us is the evolution. Like, you know, we are the answer to the questions that our ancestors have been asking. And so, you know, when you view yourself through that lens, it's like, oh shit, like the things that I thought were like so weird about me are actually the things that everyone needs. They're the things that I need to bring. They're the things that I need to like implant into the collective psyche to really like whoosh. Because we're here to thrive, you know, like the days of just surviving are long, long, long gone, and we're here to thrive and create a new ecosystem that's just blossoming and flourishing and blooming. It's just so stunning. Humanity's ready for this. Like, we're so ready to thrive and flourish. Like, we've been surviving for a very long time, and you know, anyone who's kind of glimpsed this this like sense of like this, had this experience of like, oh, I'm actually like, I'm thriving and I'm flourishing, and there's so much new, it's just like what it means to be human in the sense of like bliss and joy and peace and euphoria, and the step beyond, like, you know, I'm just getting by through my day-to-day, knows that it's a great feeling. And you see the world through this lens. You guys know, like, you see the world through this lens, and it's like, this planet is beautiful. It's not just the backdrop to a menial existence that I have to kind of struggle and suffer through. It's actually this cosmic playground that I get to wander through and explore. And it is still a backdrop, but it's not just like a cardboard backdrop to like an awful, tragic stage play. It's it's a, you know, 5-dimensional, like, yeah, cosmic like experience. I was thinking about this idea of virtual reality the other day, and dimensions. And I always thought of, like, you know, people always talk about 5D and the 5D and this being this like cosmic realm, and I'm like, it's like up here. I'm like, but dimensions, like, they exist here in the moment, like on Earth. And you know, you think about those, like, we used to go to Movie World when it first, not when it first opened, but I remember they had this exhibit, and it was like a 4D exhibition where you would go into the movies and you had 3D glasses on, but then they advertised, and it was like, now with 4 dimensions, and they would shoot water at you in the cinema, or they would like send this smell of rotting fish or like wafting through all the seats. And so rather than just like you be watching this 3D film and all the things are kind of coming at you, and then all of a sudden you get like smushed in the face with water, or like you'd start to smell fish, and it was like, oh, okay, so this is 4 dimensions, right? But like, think about that in terms of like, what if 5 dimensions is actually just another dimension, an added layer of perception? And so what if 5 dimensions isn't about like, you know, going into the cosmos, and maybe it is, but it's actually our ability to perceive and, you know, experience more. And, you know, 3D is like, you know, sight, like these kind of physical senses, and then 4D is like, I guess, more senses, and then 5D is like even more senses. But it's like, I don't think we should start rushing to get to this place, because I feel like any kind of like up level that requires you to take in even more information, and this is interesting because I feel like there's almost like a distorted version of this happening with social media at the moment, where, you know, information overload is like sieging, like we're in the process of extricating ourselves from the information overload that has sieged an entire generation, because, you know, scroll, more information, it's like fucked. But when we can, I think, you know, rechannel that, like your quest and your thirst for knowledge and your hunger for information, it's like, you know, can you actually, first of all, can you hold that much information? Can you sustain your ability to perceive and then integrate that much information? Because and I've experienced this recently, like just taking myself completely off social media, except for the occasional like sending messages. I'm on the wagon, and I'm on the journey to being off it completely. Praise God. I just feel like you've got to be able to integrate this stuff, because otherwise you just have this backlog of information that you're not using, and this kind of stuff that's like building up here, and it feels like just pressure, like wall on this like dam. And, you know, unless you've got kind of really beautiful avenues where you can integrate that information. And, you know, in Women Who Run with Wolves, there's a story about Clarissa. She talks about the miller milling, so like, you know, putting, I think it's like grain or something through a mill, and you've got to be able to process what you're learning every single day and what you're getting in, to be able to then integrate it into your life and like use the information and the whatever, turn it into wisdom, and actually be able to like process it properly. And it's the same with this, like, you know, we're accessing like a lot of information when you're talking to spirits and when you're, you know, perceiving people's souls. Like, this is like a whole nother dimension of this existence. And, you know, there's no like, don't rush to get here, and make sure that you've got really good processes in place to be able to actually process all the information that you're getting. because otherwise you just overload yourself and then it's not fun for anyone. Then you're kind of like in the 5D movie being like, oh, you're like the chick in the woman in the 4D movie or the 5D movie who's sitting there like, get me out of here, this is terrible. I just want to go back to my 3-dimensional life. So yeah, and what I mean by that, I mean processes. What I mean by that, journal a lot, write, sing, like have a lot of time to yourself. My whole experience this morning, my whole day today is about home. It's about coming home to this place, like truth and the infinite well of life within me. But like having that built into your routine, like having that, just keep like, having really clear channels for this information to kind of flow through. And then, like practically, how are you going to implement this in your life? Like, what does that look like? Okay, what am I going to change? How does my to-do list look every single day? How am I going to show up differently now in this situation, in this specific situation because of this? Like using the information that you're getting and being like, how can I apply that to like a specific section of my life? Like, I don't want you to overthink it because then it's like, but I do want you to be really like shrewd about this and like really, you're intelligent, you're incredibly intelligent. And I want you to be able to, just like do this in a way that is healthy for you and just like makes the most of what you're getting, because holy shit, it's such an incredible thing to be able to perceive so much, like to be able to be aware and sensitive to everything that's going on. And the trap, I think, is to gas, has been in the past to like, if you don't, don't gaslight yourself into thinking that, you're not perceiving as much information as you are, because you definitely are. But when you allow yourself to admit that you are actually receiving a lot of, downloads and insight and information to the whole world around you, and it's actually legit. Because that's the thing, you're like, hang on a sec, no one else is seeing this. Is this real? Am I just insane? But it's legit. Like the information that you're getting might not be completely like, you've still got to go through a process of refinement and figuring out what's real and what's not. I'm not saying everything that everything that you see and perceive is like 100% truth. That's definitely not the case. There's things that, there's a process of like sorting through. Again, Women Who Run with Wolves, the Vasilisa story, if you've read it, she sorts through Baba Yaga's grains and the seeds, and she gives her a whole pile of dirt with billions of poppy seeds. And she's like, all right, sort the dirt from the poppy seeds. Off you go. And then this is like one of 3 or 4 chores that she has to do. If you complete it, I'll let you live. This is like, I love these fairy tales because they're so like, it's not like if you complete it, you get a wish. It's like, if you complete it, you get to not die. It's very like, all right. If you grew up on the fairy tales of Brothers Grimm and whatever, and you've kind of had that like earth-shattering realization that like, there are darker things in the Bridgerton, when Daphne's like, there are darker turns in these woods than we have been taught to expect, but I believe there's light at the end. And then Eloise is like, anyway. But just read the book. The fairy tales they're great. The tarot, they're good, really good. What else? Anything else I want to share? I feel like that's kind of it. There was so much that I experienced in this last 6 months. I mean, more than that, but really came to a fever pitch the last 6 months of the year, where I was having a lot of voices, like I was hearing a lot of voices and had some negative entities like energetic parasites attached in my mind and, feeding me all these kind of lies and bullshit. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. It's really beautiful to come back to truth and love and have that clarity of connection to God. And it's, I feel like I'm still, in a sense, like I'm like this, like a little bit, I'm closing this tiny little gap now. But this is what I keep remembering, is like, this is the point. Like this whole thing, like this right now, this here is the point. The point is not something out there that you're going to get to. It's like this moment, like whatever you're experiencing, this moment, this is it. Like the whole point is that you're having this experience that you are having right now. Like this is the point. And so when you realize that, then it's like, oh shit, like I don't have to stress so much or worry about, definitely still if you're in a shit situation, like do whatever you need to. I ran and scrambled and, hauled ass and moved through so much discomfort and hell and like I really had to dig deep and like, all right, let's go. This is my life. Like, this is it. but it's also just remembering that, like, you know, even if you've gone off course and swayed and whatever, like, it's wherever you are, it's still the point. Like, the point is that you were having that experience. So that just brings you straight back into the present moment, because you're like, oh, like, this is it right here, right now. Like me filming this video right now, like, this is it. This is the moment. This is the point. This is the whole way, truth, life. This is it. Yeah, cool. All right. And yeah, and it just gives you like so much more, like, you know, internal resources to be able to handle whatever it is for you right now, because you're not in like the temptation or the illusion of like, this shouldn't be happening, because that often sucks a lot of energy, because you spend so much time being like, I'm out of alignment, I'm out of, like, I'm in shadow, I'm this, like this, and what did I do, like, what happened? And it's important to kind of, you know, I went through a whole process of being like, how did I get here? Like, how did this happen? What the fuck? Like, how? I didn't even realize that I was like drifting. And then, you know, and that's important too, because then it like allows you to kind of get a scope, to be like, that's not going to happen again. Like, I'm not letting that happen again. Absolutely not. Especially like in that particular way. Like, I can't, yeah, there are going to be, yeah. It is important to realize where you have gone astray in the past, so that you can change your behavior in the present and create a more positive future. Okay. Have a beautiful, I think that's it. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I will probably speak more about all of the other things in another video. If you haven't already, go and check out my blog. It's jschaefer.com. I'm in the process of launching some new offerings, so you can come and work with me. I also offer pro bono coaching for those under 18. So if you're a uni student, if you're a student, you're at school, like 15, 16, 17, 18, even like 13, 14, and you know that you need some support and some guidance, and you have parental permission if you're under, I think if you're under 16, that's probably important. But yeah, just, yeah, come and like speak to me. Let's talk about doing some coaching, because God, it's just, yeah, it's important. It's really important. And I know that, how impactful this stuff is, and it can really change the trajectory of your whole life. So, and it's also just like, you know, if you and I were meant to work together, then we were meant to work together. Like, our souls ordained it before we came into this existence. So just say yes. If it's here, it's here. All right. I love you. I will see you in my next video. This was so much fun. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Never mind. I'll see you in my next video. Love you.